Hey guys, Alchemist here. So as promised, here is your second video for this weekend, which will be a trade breakdown on AU. So if you haven't watched the video that I uploaded earlier today, it was a full weekend outlook on AU, EU, and GU. And I'm going to be using the same sort of levels to mark out this trade here. So we're just going to go through them a little bit quicker. So here, this is the weekly demand that we have currently just tapped into. And in terms of our weekly supply, it is these buy to sell wicks above. So that's all we need to do here for the weekly time frame. We will jump down to the daily. On the daily, if you haven't watched the last video, please go ahead and watch it. You'll see that this here was our daily boss, leaving the highest point above this line to be the daily high. And the lowest point here after we had a bullish pullback greater than 110 pips as our daily low. Again, that's all that we need to do on the daily time frame. We'll go to the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, the most recent 4 hour boss is this level here. And I should say this trade that I'm showing you here occurred on Tuesday. So this here was that 4 hour boss. The 4 hour high is here. We see that it gets wicked here, but it was still intact as we didn't actually have a body close above. And the daily low becomes our 4 hour low as well. Cool. So in terms of our daily range, sorry, our 4 hour range, it's from here to here. Okay. And it's not a very pretty 4 hour range at all. There wasn't very many nice POIs to be trading from, but we will adapt regardless. So this here is the demand. Here we have a new demand. We have this extreme supply, which we're tapping into now. And we had these equals here as liquidity. We had zones in here, but they're no longer relevant as price has now gone through them. So in terms of what's relevant now, we have the zone above, which we're tapping into, which is the extreme supply of the 4 hour range, whilst the 4 hour is still bearish as we haven't yet closed above. We have these demands below. We have these buy to sell wicks, which if you've seen the last video, you can see that we do actually get a reaction from them. The issue I have with these on this time frame is that they haven't reacted to anything significant to the left. There's just all this imbalance, which this imbalance on the 4 hour is not imbalance on the 15 minute. And there have actually been points within here that these have reacted off. So I'm just going to leave these here, but they don't make them valid zones on this time frame to be trading from. On the 15 minute, if we were to refine these down and the refinement did have interaction to the left, they'd be 100% okay to trade from. So on the 4 hour, we know that we are bearish. We know that we're tapping into the extreme supply. We know that the daily is bearish, okay? And if you've seen the last video, you'll see that this 4 hour high does in fact get taken, but at the time we had no idea of knowing so. And we would know that the extreme is always going to be a valid point to be taking trades from. So let's now have a look at our 15-minute structure and see if we can actually enter a trade. We'll drag this across. Okay. And at the time, I remember this here was a 15-minute boss from here to here. So this would have been the 15-minute low. This was the 15-minute high after we had a bearish pullback greater than 22 pips. And this one's obviously a lot greater than 22, it's 55. So at this point here, this would have been the 15-minute high. And then we have two candle closes above. And if you've seen the market structure video, you'll know that the second candle close would have confirmed our new 15-minute boss. Okay, and let's identify our 15-minute low. Okay, and let's have a look at this 4 hour range and see if we can refine it. So we can see that we have this candle here, which has swept the liquidity above all these candles to the left. Okay, and it's had interaction as well. Cool. So that was the demand that pushed us up and closed above this high. Price came back into that demand. It actually created these buy to sell wicks here as well. But we can take the whole POI. We can also just refine it to this. Okay, so we're tapping into a refined 15-minute POI in premium of the 15-minute leg, in premium of the 4 hour leg, and 15-minute structure is bullish. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. And in a moment, we're going to have a look at the flow charts as well to show you that this trade is valid and how it sort of plans out and how I map everything. But once we've tapped into this here, let's jump down to the 1 minute and let's actually see if we get an entry playing out. Perfect. So we've come into here on the 1 minute. A couple of things to note. On the 15 minute, this is a first tap of a POI. And what do we see? We see that first tap. Okay, at the moment, it looks like it's being swept. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you're a member of the course, you'll know why I'm marking this out like this. If not, join and you'll find out. So that's one thing to note. We will see liquidity in further as well once we go down to the 1 minute. So we've had that there. And then once we've actually tapped into this POI, the moment we tap into it on the 15 minute, we can jump down to the 1 minute and start actually framing up our trade idea. So here, what do we have? Okay, we can see that this here was a liquidity grab, so the first part of a chock. And then for the chock to be completed, we'd need to see this low failing with a body close. Okay, personally, I require a body close for AU. EU wicks can still occur, wicks can be valid for a chock, but on AU, I will always wait to see a body close. So this here is the chock down, and then let's identify this here as our demand. Okay, and we'll play price forward a little bit. Okay, we're interacting with that demand, inside bar, going towards it, and there we go. We have a body close. Okay, now the change of character has been confirmed. So let's have a look at this piece of price action here. So what do we have? This level here is important, okay, because after interacting with this demand, prices then come up and swept the liquidity above here. So this here, this flip has swept liquidity. Then what do we see after this? We see another candle pushing into it before that failure. So we can identify that we have this bullish candle here mitigated this. Let me just mark this as a supply, sorry. Okay, so we can mark that up until there. Then we have this new one as a refined supply. And then we have the inside bar and then the next candle again. So we can actually just take this next candle as the last supply before this demand failed. Okay, we don't have a wick below this candle, so these here, these wouldn't suffice buy to sell wicks, because for buy to sell wicks to be valid, we need to see them on both candles. Again, here we don't have a wick below, we only have a wick above, so there's no buy to sell candles, buy to sell wicks here. We've only got this point here. So this is the zone that we'd be looking to trade from. Now I'll just pause this video and bring up the flow chart so I can show you exactly what I'm mapping out here. Okay, so what we can see here, this is one of 15 unique different flowcharts that every member now has access to as long as they get past these points. And why I say that is to progress within the unit, you have assignments and quizzes to complete every week, and you cannot actually access the next week's content until I mark your assignment as satisfactory, so I know that you fully understand the concept before moving on to the next one. This will also alleviate a lot of second guessing yourself. It will alleviate a lot of time in your process too, as you won't be able to progress to something more advanced before understanding the basics. So if we look at this here is if we're wanting to take a short whilst 4H is bearish. If we remember, 4H is bearish at the time, so yes. Are you in premium? Yes, we are in premium of the 4-hour leg. Is 15-minute structure bearish? It's not, okay? At this point, 15-minute structure is bullish. However, it next asks, are we in premium of the 15-minute leg? Which is yes. And is 15-minute order flow bearish? The answer to this one's no, so I've actually looked at the wrong one. But if you look here, because 15-minute was still bullish at the time, it is still a valid entry. We can enter with taking full take profit at the next demand zone. The number 2 here is ranked out of 5 for how good of a setup this setup is. So this one here, it's a 2 out of 5. However, it's still valid. With other ones below, they could, for example, show you that there's going to be no entry. Okay. And I'm obviously not going to show you all the rest, but there are also flow charts for this if you wanted to take a short while 4H is bullish, or if you wanted to take a long while 4H is bearish, or if you wanted to take a long while 4H is bullish. So there's all the different possible scenarios, all the different 15-minute structures, as well as order flow. And guys, honestly, if you follow this, you will be profitable over the long run. And this is something so simple, which will reimburse you for the whole cost of the course by taking one trade once you get funded. Look at it that way. Once you build up the confidence in your strategy, once you go through the units, pass everything and are successful, you will be able to be funded. And then taking just one trade on a funded account will alleviate and recuperate all the costs of the course. On top of that, you're also getting access to the self-mastery course and the financial fundamentals, and that's only for the next 9 people, which will complete our foundations. And then after that, each course that I'll be releasing in the future will be at an added cost. So please take advantage of this. I cannot stress this enough. If you're interested, book in and we'll go through everything together so I can show you what you're getting yourself into. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. But now let's jump back onto the charts, knowing that here, this is a valid setup. We can enter and take full take profit at the next demand zone. So jumping back onto the charts now, this is exactly how we left it. So we've tapped into that 15-minute refined POI, which is in the extreme of the 4-hour supply. And we've just had our change of character complete. We have this last unmitigated supply flip, and we'll be waiting to see how price returns to this, especially to see if we're going to build up some more liquidity on the way back, then be looking to take an entry. With entries from here, if you've watched any of my previous trade setups, you'll know that what I do is I'll take 25% of the zone and try to cover the high with 2.5 pips. With AU, 95% of the time, that should be enough. So if we now play price along, okay, what have we got just there? We've got some equals or inducement right underneath our zone, which is also really good. If you remember the course, that should stand out to you. And then we'll play price along, hopefully a little bit faster than that. Okay, cool. We've got some more inducement now. And pause. So now we'd be tapped in. So what we would do, we would have our trade. What I first do is see if I can do exactly at 25% of the zone. If 2.5 pips is going to cover the high by 0.3 of a pip. So what we'll do is we'll look here and then we'll look up here to the H, which will be the high of the candle. So the high of this candle is 354. So plus 3 will be 357. So I need this to at least be at 357, which if I move it up one more tick. Okay, this is now at 357, which is 0.3 above this high. And then now you'll see that the stop loss is actually 2.6 pips. So all you need to do is move it down one. Cool. So now I'll be entering here with 2.5 pips. Apologies. Got to move this to 3.7 and move this up one. There we go. All right, so now we're at 357, which is 0.3 of a pip higher than here, and we've still covered this with a 2.5 pip stop. The next thing to do is identify where your 4R will be. As if you're a member of the course or if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll see that I'll always take off 25% of my trade at 4R to make sure that I'm risk-free and that I can leave my stop loss open in case price wants to come back and re-mitigate that zone. And now what we'll do is we'll look at the 15-minute. And we'll look at the next demand zone within here that we'll be taking full TP at. So personally, it will be this one for me. Okay, we have buy to sell wicks here, which are very minor on the way, but they haven't really interacted with something of great significance. This here is the real, it's the last sell before the big buy. Okay, this is the last sort of place this is the real demand zone that pushed us above here, and this is where I'll be targeting. And again, just as I take 25% of the 1-minute POI for an entry, I'll also take 25% of a 15-minute POI for my exit. Okay, so therefore I will be pulling the rest of this down to here. And if anyone's interested, this is a New York session trade. Go back down to the 1 minute. We'll see how price plays along. Okay, so our partials were hit within, looks like 10 to 15 minutes. Have a look. So we're actually tagged in at this candle here. So from here to here, 13 minutes, and now you're risk-free. So I use Trade Assistant. I have this that it's already set up at 25% as TP1, and then I'll just drag that line to where 4R equals. And then the rest, it depends if there is another target, depending on the flowcharts and where you're situated. Sometimes it'll also tell you to take an additional 50% partial at the next supply or demand zone if it is greater than 8R, and then to hold a 10% runner. But in this case here, what it's told me to do is to full TP at the next demand zone. So after taking my 25% partial at 4R, the remaining 75% will be at this low here, which is 25% of that 15-minute POI. Okay, and that would be at 15.6R. And then as you're about to see, just go up to the 5 minute just because this backtesting is taking a little bit longer. Here we go. So now if we go back to the 1 minute, you can see that that gets tagged again quite quickly. If we look at this from entry to exit of full TP is 54 minutes. Okay, that's less than 1 hour's worth of work, and it's not really work. All the work would have been done before the actual trade was actually placed. And if we have a look here, I'm just going to bring up the calculator. So 75% at 15.6 is 11.7 plus the 1, which is the 25% at 4R. That gives us 12.7R in the span of 54 minutes. So 12.7R in 54 minutes. So if you guys are risking 1% per trade, that's 12.7% in less than an hour. Even if you're risking 0.5%, that's 6.35% in less than an hour. And personally, I only target 5R per week at 0.5% risk per trade, which is 2.5% per week. Okay, and even that's a very realistic, very attainable, and it's a target that I often hit. So that allows me to make sure that in the future, when I do go for future funding, which I will be doing very soon now that after my last exam, which will be on the 7th of November, after I do that, I will be going for an FTMO challenge, linking it to my FX book, sharing all my results to show you that this is legit. And with that, with just targeting 5R at 0.5% risk, that's 10% a month. And with that, you can pass any challenge you like, scale your funding to however large you like it to be. Okay, and following what I will be producing in the self-mastery course, ensuring that your psychology is also intact along the way, and just following the flowcharts. The flowcharts are there to keep us rational and to keep us objective, and to ensure that we're executing from a mechanical and systematic approach. And when you have a rational approach, when you have a rational mind, there is no space for emotion. You cannot think emotionally from a rational mind, and you cannot think rationally from an emotional mind. So our whole objective as traders is to think rationally, not emotionally. And to do so, we need to create a systematic approach, or take one that someone else has already created for you, i.e. me. I've created this systematic approach for you. All you need to do is execute it like a robot, follow the steps, click the buttons, and you will be successful. It's simple as that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this trade recap. I will be doing a few more of these in the future as well. It won't be every week. If you want this source every week, join the course. You can see all of the different outlooks that I do every single day for AU. You'll see all the trades that I take and exactly why I did them once I get 100% back into trading after my final exam, which will complete my double degree, which is awesome. So if you do have any questions, if you want to join, let me know. As I said, comment below or email me. My email will be in the description as well. If you want to book in that free Zoom chat so we can go over exactly what's covered in the course, and I'll give you a quick preview of the actual course itself as well as Discord, so we can get you on board and get you successful in no time. Take care, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and a successful and profitable week ahead.